Hello Linux lovers, my name's Wimpy, welcome to my world. I'm going to be going over Quickemu and how all of that stuff works today. So we'll be taking a look at that. Curious how Twitch isn't responding appropriately. Let's just check something here, because things are not right. Oh well. Stream Elements thinks I'm live. Let's just check. I noticed my keys were changed, obviously, because you know. Oh, what's this? Stop! Stop making noise. Okay. I am not streaming right now. Oh. It's weird. It's weird. Twitch is being weird today. Okay, this is an inauspicious start. I can't see my own preview. Weird. Okay, there we go. Okay. Right. That was interesting. Okay, welcome everyone. Sorry for the sorry for the delay in bringing that up. That was strange. Yeah. So first thing, obviously, Twitch keys had changed. So let's just get this bit done. Right. So why am I here? So today I'm going to be running through Quickemu. It was the thing that I mentioned on Twitter yesterday. Little project I've been working on. There's been some questions, and I thought I'd run through how it works and all of that. So sorry for that weird start. Welcome everyone. Hello Popey. Hello Yannick. Hey Henrik. King Egypt. Hey Paul. Welcome back. Sleepy Eyes Vince. Welcome. So in short, for fun and hack value, I've been tinkering with Quickemu, which is descended from a shonky shell script that Popey and I wrote, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, to quickly run, well, actually Linux VMs, to do cross-distro snap testing. And then I sort of used that as a means to then do Ubuntu QA testing. So it developed into a tool for the Ubuntu Mate QA team, so they could do quick testing of VMs. And then for fun, I thought, wouldn't it be fun to get macOS and Windows working in this thing as well? So it's a really quick way to get VMs working. Yes, Linux Paul. Oh yeah. So this is my App Center for Everyone mug from the fine people at Elementary. So yeah, different mug today at home. So yeah, I've not streamed this past week. We obviously did the Ubuntu podcast after party last Friday, and then because fuel crisis. I haven't been going into the other office, and it's just been a complicated week, so I haven't been around. So doing this. Hey, Big Pod, how you doing? Are you muscle at the moment, Big Pod? Good morning. Hello, everyone. Hey, Luke, how you doing? So let's get into this. Let's do this. So. What is this thing? Well, it's a shell script, because of course it is. I'm just going to run through like how you actually use it to do some stuff. So let's have a little think about this. There's two components to Quickemu now, and the first bit is something that I've not shown before, and it's relatively new, and it's called QuickGet. So I'm just going to take my VM for Windows 11 and I'm going to delete that, which actually only deletes two things. It deletes the virtual disk and also the EFI variables. So my Windows 11 is now gone, but if we just go and take a look in there, I'm not going to blow everything away because otherwise we're going to have a pointlessly long download. I'll just clean up some bits that we don't need. I'll get rid of that. I'll get rid of unattended.iso because we'll explain what that is in a moment. Oops. What else is in here that we could get rid of? Well, we should get rid of this as well. And we can also get rid of this because we'll explain what that is, and that's cruft left behind from old stuff. And we don't need this. So there's a whole, this is where I've been developing and things have evolved. So there we go. I'll explain. I'll also just remove this because then QuickGet will actually do something. So we'll keep all of that. In fact, we'll also get rid of the unattended directory. So the only bit that I'm not going to delete is the ISO image because obviously that's quite large. But nevertheless, this will demonstrate what QuickGet does. So QuickGet, you can download and provision VMs. So you can do any of the Ubuntu flavors, and you can do released series or devel. So, you know, this is how, in fact, I can run this because this will demonstrate one feature. This is pulling down using ZSync the latest, or updating the latest daily snapshot of the in development release of Ubuntu Mate. So this is sort of why it's useful for Ubuntu development, because you can quickly, you know, update and grab stuff and all the rest of it. Hey Danny, thanks for stopping by. If you've got questions, let me know. We'll see if we can get to the bottom of the well, no, Quickemu is not designed to delete everything. It's only really deleting the disk when you tell it to delete things. So there we go. So that's a fairly quick update. It's just going to pull down what's changed in the last couple of days since I last synced things. But what QuickGet also does is, based on the OS you give it here, is you can see it says, well, now you can run your machine. So what QuickGet also does is it creates the virtual machine configuration, which is intended to be as simple as possible. Quickemu is designed to figure out everything it needs to do to run the operating system you've asked it to run without you knowing how to do any of that foo. Okay. Right, well, I can show you how to do macOS, Luke. It does do macOS. So, you know, and I could run this now. So if I do Quickemu and just point it at that Ubuntu Mate VM that we've just got there, we can run that.
Thank you for the follow, species 8472.
And if I pull this down, here we go. Thanks for the follow. Here we go. So this is my VM of the daily Ubuntu Mate. My password is test, by the way. Now this, of course, hasn't just booted off the ISO image. This was, you know, a disk that, you know, was pre-installed and ready. But that's running a fully accelerated version by default. And I may change these defaults. I'll be interested in what people think. So this is got all of the GPU acceleration enabled. And you can see when you run Quickemu, it tells you a bunch of stuff. It automatically does SSH port forwarding. So if you've got an SSH server running on the guest, and it can also do this. You can connect over Spice, which enables you to do things like copy paste. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to run the same VM, but I'm going to tell it to use the Spice client. So instead of running fully accelerated, it's now somewhat accelerated in terms of GPU. But the advantage is this enables full copy paste, file sharing, USB pass through, the whole thing. So let's just log in there. we go. So that's, but now I can, if I just make this a little bit bigger. If in this VM we run a text editor, we're now able to put some text in there, copy that, and then if I come back to my host, that stuff is in the buffer. So everything you'd expect, including if we come back and just look at what Quickemu told us, we can connect for file sharing over WebDAV on this port, or 9p here to the public directory in both cases. And then these VMs also are named. The processes get renamed. So I'm not going to end this VM politely. I'm simply just going to kill it like so. And there we go. That's taken it out. So you don't need to track PIDs or anything like that. You've just, you know, got names that you can kill to get rid of the VMs and what have you. So that's like the Linux support, or rather the Ubuntu support. Any Linux VM will work just fine, but it's got built-in support for how to run the Ubuntus. So let's see now. Hey Graham, thanks for stopping by, mentor. Why do you need to implement Quickemu in PowerShell, mentor? That's an interesting idea. Right then. Let's have a look then. Keep the spice flowing. Very good. So USB pass-through on macOS only supports host pass-through, and I've only done simple USB devices. I haven't tried the phone yet, but let's get into that. So very quickly, if we run Quickemu, we've got some VMs here. Let's run macOS Catalina. So this VM has been created, but let's demonstrate how you would do this. In order to create a VM, in fact, let's kind of demonstrate this. If I delete macOS Mojave, there we go. So I've just blown away that whole VM completely, and we'll also get rid of the macOS Mojave configuration. So there's nothing left of that now. So I can run QuickGet macOS, and then in this case we want Mojave. So QuickGet is going to do a bunch of things. The first thing it does is it downloads the OpenCore bootloader and then compatible firmware, and now you can see that it's downloading the recovery image for Mojave automatically, and I'm thankful to see this one's downloading quickly. So once this is downloaded, QuickGet will then convert that disk image. Mojave is the one before Catalina, that's right, Yannick. So there we go. So it now converts that into a raw image, and there we go. It now says in order to run our VM, we can run this command here. So if we just take a look at that VM configuration, that's the extent of the config for macOS. You tell it the guest is macOS. That instructs Quickemu how to optimize for macOS, where the hard disk is, where the recovery image is, and then the different releases of macOS have different hooks that you can use, like the VirtIO subsystem, in order to optimize the performance. So that macOS release then instructs Quickemu what it can turn on in order to optimize the performance as much as possible. So if I run this command here, this will now start that VM. I think this has started on the wrong screen, but here we go. If I pull this down, so this is the OpenCore bootloader, and it's pre-configured to run off this recovery image. So I can start that, and this will boot macOS 10 and then start the recovery image, which enables you to install macOS. And again, you can see here it tells you what the port forwards are for SSH, for Spice, and for 9p. So 9p file sharing works on macOS as well, so you can actually exchange files between the guest and the host. So this is going to, in just a moment, there we go, it'll bring up the recovery environment. So Luke says they need a new CPU. Yeah, so you're trying to run Quickemu. I did add some guardrails recently to actually like interrogate the host CPU vendor and capabilities to make sure that you know, you've got a system that can actually run it. Yeah, so I saw that 9p was in there as well. So in order to do the install of macOS, we first of all need to use the disk utility, and we find our virtual disk, which is this 68 or 64 gigabyte one here. We'll just erase that. We'll call it Mojave and erase. That'll prep the disk, so we're done there. And now we can reinstall macOS, and off we go. And although I'm using Mojave here, only because the Catalina, well, the Big Sur takes ages because it actually has to download a 12 gig image once you run the recovery, which, you know, obviously takes a long time. And there we go. So now we're just installing macOS, and we're off to the races. So I'll let that run somewhere over here for the moment. I'll just move that off screen. So I'll let that run. Now, similarly, we kept just the ISO image, but if we run QuickGet Windows 11, this will do a similar thing. This will figure out where the Windows 11 ISO is and download Windows 11. Now, as it happens, we already have Windows 11 downloaded. It does an integrity check to make sure that the version we've got downloaded is in fact the same as you know, the currently published upstream version. And then, of course, I deliberately removed the VirtIO drivers, so it's grabbing the new versions of those, which is only going to take a couple of minutes. And then we'll see that it does one other thing now, and this is a feature that I've entirely borrowed, in fact traded, with Danny, who makes a snap called Clouds, which runs Windows in a snap. And it'll create an unattended setup to automate some of the Windows installations, specifically the enablement of the VirtIO drivers and the disk configuration. So, and also some of the initial form filling, so that as much of the install that can be automated away is automated. So I see there's some questions. Perfect timing for my ongoing demacification. So the Mac stuff I found really helpful because I was writing a game recently and I wanted to get it working on macOS. And I do have a MacBook, an old MacBook, it's right next to me. But keep getting that out and plug it into the power was a faff. So I used Quickemu to start up a VM and use the VM of macOS to actually test my game. And in particular, I wrote a bit of code to generate DMG images of my Mac version of the game on Linux. So I was producing the Mac version of the game on Linux and then just copying it into the macOS VM to test that, you know, it all worked properly and all the rest of it. So, hey Jeff, welcome back. And Graham says, this is awesome. Well, I'm glad you like it. Could be seriously useful. So, haven't got any thoughts on how long will be usable for Catalina. Well, Catalina is the recommended macOS to use at the moment. Big Sur's a little bit slow and has no audio whatsoever. So Catalina's the most complete support at the moment. It's got full duplex audio in it. Run these machines. Well, I don't know. That would be on Mac's support policy. But obviously I'm interested in getting Monterey to work at some point soon as well. And I saw somewhere somebody asked, am I going to make a GUI for this? I was thinking about that last night. I don't know. If I do, it's going to be as simple, because the whole point of this is to abstract away all of the complexity of creating virtual machines. Like, you don't need to know how to build a virtual computer. Like, Virt Manager is amazing, but if you've used that, you basically assemble a PC, and you need to know all of that stuff. The whole idea here is you know what operating system you want to run, and Quickemu figures it all out for you. Because you'll notice I didn't have to tell it how many CPU cores and what have you. It introspects the host system. So if we just look here, you can see it looked at my system. It worked out I have a single socket, and then based on the available resources in my machine, it allocated 8 cores, 2 threads each, so therefore 16 threads and 32 gig of RAM. The disk that's allocated is like the minimum reasonable amount based on the OS that you've asked it to run. And then all of this stuff, you know, the VGA device. Obviously macOS doesn't have great support for Virt IO in terms of graphics. It does for like disk subsystem and more so networking and random number generators in the later releases. But it just works all this stuff out for you. So if I was to make a UI, it would basically be a list of operating systems with a get button, and then once you've got them, a run button. You know, it would be mega simple. And I think in terms of configure, because you can configure these things if you want to, the amount of RAM that you want and all the rest of it is all configurable. That's documented in the README on GitHub. So if this is a new feature, I don't know if you know about this, look table of contents automatically. So if we go and look at tuning, here we go, you can see you can manually tell it what number of cores you want, how much RAM, the size of the disk. You can even do disk pre-allocation and network port forwarding, US, all of this is documented. So if you want to do any of this stuff, it's all there. It's just not necessary by default. At least that's the sort of objective. Just get you up and running as quickly as possible. So let's just think about where I was. Where was I actually? What were we looking at? I've lost my train of thought. Oh, okay, yeah, we were here. So, oh yes, we were here. We were waiting for Windows to do its thing. So, if I just look in the Windows 11 directory now, it didn't do the right thing. I've just found a bug in my... Oh, I know why. I know why. I need to run... I haven't actually got the latest version installed on my system, so I'm just going to run QuickGet again, Windows 11 from my dev tree. This is in the PPA, this version. So if I run this again, there we go. Oh, Gen ISO invalid. Oh dear, I've found bugs, haven't I? I found bugs. We'll have to get in and fix this. Let's just see what I've broken here. Deleting a bunch of stuff. Let's do that. Yeah, I know why that's broken. We'll go and fix that in just a second. Let's just run that again. There we go. So it says making the unattended ISO. So I'll go and fix that. We'll fix that live. I know why this is busted. I remember the change I made. So if we go and look now, what that did is it created, it didn't create the directory, hence the problem. But it created, and this is derived from work that Danny has done. So it created this unattended directory with an auto unattended XML inside it. And this is what does things like hook up the drivers and what have you. And then it turns all of that into an ISO image called unattended.iso, which gets attached to the virtual machine. So let's run the virtual machine for Windows. And this will actually take us through the install process. So press return very quickly, because you have to press return to boot off the ISO. So this is the machine booting, and you can see here this is the first boot, so it's using this ISO, it's using it as the boot device. It knows it's got the VirtIO drivers attached, and here you can see it's because this is Windows 11, it's automatically created a software emulated TPM 2.0 device and passed that through to the guest OS, because this is obviously a requirement for Windows 11 now. So I'm using the English International ISO. You can specify what language you want to download when you download Windows 11. And you'll notice it didn't ask about drivers and it didn't ask about disks. This is what that unattended setup is taking care of. So the disk automatically got partitioned and formatted, and the appropriate drivers have been added. So it didn't ask you what version of Windows, because it will always default to Pro. And this then kicks off, you know, the initial part of that install process. So without any messing about, yeah, Charafu. So this is timely because, as Danny points out, Windows 11 came out a couple of days ago. So that was why I wanted to get this working, because I was refining the Windows 10 support, and then Windows 11 rocked up. And now, over here, the first part of the install for Mojave is completed. So it's just rebooted, and we've now got this disk Mojave, which is the one that I'm installing. So I now boot off that. And this will now take us through the rest of the setup process. So no, Mentor, it doesn't use a volume license key. There is a key that Microsoft provide, which is purely used to do a selection of the addition of Windows to automate the selection of in the UI. But there's no key. Yeah, so Danny's explaining. So it's just selecting the SKU, the software part. Not a license itself. So it's just a little bit of automation. So we've got Windows in the background there, Windows 11 in the background, whirring away. Oh, it's getting ready, looks like. So let's just move macOS off screen. So Windows 11 is whirring here. This will ask us some questions. It will ask you things like, you know, language and what privacy invading features you want to disable and all of that good stuff. So Charafu asks how bad 11 is. I think Windows 11 is great. I much prefer it. I know next to nothing about Windows these days. I've learned enough about Windows to be dangerous in order to do this, or at least update my know-how, because it's been a long time since I've used it in anger. But I really like Windows 11. I think it's a huge improvement over Windows 10, just at a surface level in terms of the visuals, as Yannick says, very reminiscent to macOS. And we'll actually be able to show that side by side, because we can actually run up versions of macOS alongside Windows 11 now. But I think the dark theme Windows 11 looks pretty. So here we go. And hopefully you heard a little bit of that. The audio's all working, so full duplex audio. So meanwhile, in the background here, macOS is doing this, so it's doing its install at the moment. So I'll just leave that off screen whilst that gets busy, and we'll run through the initial setup for Windows. So I'm obviously in the UK, so we'll just go through this again. So yeah, we could do a collab stream on USB pass-through. I've seen that there are some other tools to do like phone pass-through, but like I say, I've not tested phones. What I did test was my Stream Deck, and I got the Stream Deck working in a macOS VM, you know, just by passing that through, and that worked. So let's call them simple devices seem to work. And what is it you want to pass through the USB? Why do you want to pass the phone through exactly? I mean, I know you're doing stuff that I'm not familiar with, which is why I asked the question. So I'm going to say let's set up for personal use. Next. And I'm going to tell it, yes, I really don't want to. I don't want to do this. It's down here, further down this screen. Sign in options. Sign in. Right, offline account. That's what we want. Skip for now. So let's create a local account. My password is test, by the way. And then here we go. I wonder if you can tell what the answer to these. What's the name of my first pet? Well, my first pet was called Test. And what's the name of the city where you were born? I was born in Test. And the third question is my childhood nickname. Well, everyone knows that, of course. It's Test. So there we go. So that takes us through that setup there. Let Microsoft apps. For this VM, yes, you can use that, but I don't need Find My Device. Don't want to send you anything other than the required stuff. I definitely don't want to do that. Get tailored experiences. No, thank you. And yes to an advertising ID so I don't get random stuff. Hello, Ubuntu Podcast Portugal. Yes, that I'll. I always answer these questions with Tarquin. Yes, Danny, I agree. There are dark patterns in there. So anyway, that's finishing up the Windows 11, and then we have a couple of bits to do post install, just to sort of get like an optimized experience. So we'll just run through that on Windows 11. So Quickemu. So if you add the PPA, what you're obviously running Ubuntu, Graham. If you add my PPA, my Quickemu PPA, an apt update and upgrade, that will pull in QEMU 6. So you like the installer? I mean, I've not seen the Ubuntu Flutter installer recently, so I'd be interested to see how that's coming along. Right, we're almost there apparently. Over here, we're still 9 minutes away, just for comparison. And there we go. There's Windows. So what we'll do now is Quickemu remembers to leave the VirtIO driver CD attached. So first thing we'll do is we'll run the full VirtIO installer to make sure that all of the drivers are installed, because at this point it's only installed the bare essentials. So it's the disk IO and network and random number generator stuff. So we'll install all of that, and you'll hear Windows coupling as it, you know, attaches devices. And then we'll also install the guest tools, and this enables the Spice driver, or at least most of the Spice stuff. Spice is a protocol for doing guest to host content sharing, and you'll see the resolution just changed there slightly. So we'll close that and we'll shut the VM down. So that is Windows 11 installed at that point. So it doesn't take too long. In fact, the Windows 11, I did 10 and 11 side by side, and 11 is quite a bit quicker than 10. So we'll restart that, but this time we'll use the Spice protocol on our VM, because that will enable us to do all of the good stuff. There we go. So, come on then, wake up. I'm on the wrong screen. Come on. There we go. So what we'll do now is we'll say display settings, and we'll just set this to something a bit more reasonable, like 1920. There we go. Whoa, keep options, resize, guest, and I'll do this. Whoop. So that's Spice kicking in now. You can see I can just drag this VM around, and as I do, Windows will, you know, remap the display accordingly. And that's it. That's mostly done. There's a couple of other bits that you can install in here. There's an additional driver. Let's go and do it for completeness. Let's do it. Please don't hold me up. I just want to browse the web now. This is annoying. Okay. Complete setup. Focused. Confirm. No, I don't want to do that. Right. So if I go to here, I can hopefully find the bit of the instructions which is about Windows guests, and it says post install, grab these things. So let's open in a new tab and open in a new tab. Save link as. So that clicked cancel. Save link as. Save. And what have we got here? This is the USB pass-through piece. So that looks like the latest version. Save that. Save. So let's just go and install both of those. So this is what will enable me to do file sharing with the host, and this is what does USB pass through. So we'll just let both of those install and we'll bounce the machine. Yeah, I have no intention of running Firefox on any operating system. Mental. All right, and over here macOS is just doing its final loop through, so that's just rebooted. So
thank you for the follow, Tom Pipo Happy.
Thanks for the follow, and thanks for stopping by. So there's macOS coming up for the first time. We'll just drag that off screen, and we'll come back to that in a moment. So I've just installed those 2 bits for Windows, and we'll just restart the VM again because drivers. Restart that. So, hey, our podcast, how you doing? Good to see you here today. Right, I wonder if we can make a PowerShell script that installs all the things. Yeah, I mean, go to the project. If you can figure it out, pull requests welcome. That would be great. What's my browser of choice, and why do you not like Firefox? My browser of choice is Brave, but I quite like Edge. I don't dislike Edge. I think it's a decent browser. I'm just Firefox is not keeping pace with the other browsers these days, in my opinion, and it's frustrating when stuff doesn't work. So let's think about this. If I now open up the File Explorer,
macOS contains a built-in screen reader. If you know how to use VoiceOver, press Command F5 now to turn it on and set up your Mac. If you would like to learn how to use VoiceOver to set up your Mac, press the Escape key.
I'm assuming you can hear all of that, but macOS was just talking to me. So here we go. There's macOS. We'll come back to macOS in a minute. I think we've done macOS before. Windows 11 is the new thing, so we'll come back there in a second. So if we now look on the network, I think network discovery is turned off. Oh, click to change. Turn on network discovery and file sharing. Okay. Okay, so this is where I'm like run out of rope on like how things work on. Oh, there we go. Come on, you know you want to work. Well, that should be connecting through to the WebDAV server, and it's definitely worked on Windows 10, but this is the first time I've tried it on Windows 11. So I'll look into that. Right then. So that's that. So that's Windows 11. So now the cool stuff here is I've done a bunch of tweaking to what's called the Hyper-V enlightenments to do, among other things, nested VMs. So if we start up the command prompt as administrator, in fact, thinking about it, because we're on Windows 11, is there terminal? Ah, there we go. That's more like it. Let's do it the new way. Let's get rid of this thing. Bye bye. So I wonder if that's going to work. There we go. So this is now installing WSL inside that Windows 11 VM, so nested virtualization, which is one of my motivations for doing this, because again, I can dual boot this machine that I'm using right now into Windows. I rarely do because it's disruptive, because I much prefer being in Linux. So rebooting into another operating system is a bit of a chore, but being able to run a VM and then being able to play with all of the features of Windows in a VM is kind of useful to me for my work. So this enables me to run WSL inside Windows or inside a VM. So yeah, exactly, Yannick. Yeah, indeed, it's Ubuntuception, because what this will ultimately do is end up running Ubuntu inside Windows, and that Windows is running inside Ubuntu. So yeah. Well, what I was wondering is like actually running Docker inside WS, running Docker inside WSL, I'm not sure how many levels this onion, goes to, but that was the idea. So whilst WSL is doing its thing, let's just quickly come back to macOS. We'll find the right. Here it is. There we go. Let's just quickly run through this. So again, this is Mojave, which is quite old, and I chose this just because I didn't mind throwing this VM away and starting from scratch. We won't do that now. But, at the same time, Windows 11 is doing its thing. So
thank you for the follow, Fimian.
Thanks very much for the follow. Right, let's agree to that. Create an account. This should be easy enough. My password is test, by the way. Right then. Let's do that. Okay, Yannick. Sorry for distracting you. We'll just go with the Express setup for the moment. Yes, we'll go with the dark mode. And there we go. So this should be it at this point. This should be a fairly complete Mojave. So we'll just complete the keyboard setup. That's that key. Done. And this is quite a large resolution, so actually you can see here. So what we'll do is, actually Mojave doesn't have a huge amount of support for different resolutions. It's much better on Catalina, and let me just try and do this. I'll just do this off screen. I'm just going to bring up the display configurator for let's see if I can bring this down. This is a bit of a fiddle because it gets the screen coordinates wrong. There we go. And if I say scaled, I think that will probably, will that just about fit? Not quite. I have to make it really small. So yeah, Mojave's that bit older, so it doesn't fully understand what you're telling it from a VM. But there it is. There's Mojave running. So if we just shut that down, we can run up a newer version. So our podcast asks silly questions, but can you install that version of Windows without a license? So Windows 10 and Windows 11, when you install them, have a prompt that says, I don't have a product key. And essentially what Quickemu is doing is automating that option. So yeah, they will install without a key. Quickemu can stand up Windows 8.1, but that does require a product key. You can't install it without one. So we'll restart as we've been instructed to, because WSL has grabbed some stuff. So you can press Alt when selecting the radio dot and choose from more resolution. Oh, really? Okay, well that'll be interesting. We'll have a little play at that in a moment. That's very good. Sorry. Let's have a look. There's a lot of chat. I'm sorry if I'm missing it. Look, if there were questions that I've missed, please please ask them again if I've missed things, because I've been sort of running through like a demo, but if I've missed something, ask and I'll try and get to any questions. So our podcast asks, any big impact on performance on your host when running these at the same time? No. But then again, both the systems that I've been using to develop this on, this system's a Threadripper 3970. The machine in the other office is a 5950 Ryzen. so they're fine. But Quickemu tries to do the right thing to not over commit the host operating system. So long as your hardware can support the virtualization requirements, it should do the right thing, and it enables every optimization available to try and alleviate, overhead on the host, including tweaking the CPU flags and the way the real-time clock skew is accommodated to try and, get that idle threshold as low as possible. So it does everything it can to, make things run nicely. But, feedback welcome. I've only got a handful of systems I can test this on. Enter a new name. Okay, that's me. Oh, look, my password is test, by the way. So I obviously want Ubuntu in my dock, so we'll pin that to the taskbar. We're using the new Windows terminal, and there it is. This is Ubuntu running inside a VM of Windows 10. So, what doesn't work on your MacBook? Oh, you're talking about... Oh, that's interesting. Ah, that's an old version. So this is an old release, so we can apt update. And then upgrade, and then we'll get the correct branding. So yeah, at this point, this is the new Windows terminal, which is significantly better than, the old command prompt thing. So, all things considered, this is a reasonable. So there we go. This is nice and familiar running Linux inside Windows. Isn't it the Windows terminal? Oh, it's not. No. It reopened it in command, didn't it? So oops, I'm focused on the guest. So. Let's do it in Windows Terminal. And then we should be able to... There it is, Ubuntu. There we are. Better. I wonder what this tells me. I've never looked. Yeah, it knows I'm doing things. There we go. So. There we go. So that's the Windows stuff. Windows 11... Nice and easy install. It's WSL2. This is still installing, or updating rather. So I assume this will give me the right information because it's a slightly older version of the WSL utilities when it comes back. Come on. You can see here. WSL2. That's correct, and that's exactly what you're seeing, Mentor, nested virtualization. So that sort of concludes, well, in fact, I suppose the other thing is that I think Windows looks much nicer with this dark theme applied. So there we go. So that's sort of the extent of my interest in getting all of this working on Windows. Again, my original reason for doing this was from a few months ago when I was working on a game and I wanted to test my... I was using Godot and I was building my game binaries all on Linux. So building for Android, Windows, Mac, HTML5 and Linux, doing all of that build on Linux, but then I wanted to be able to quickly test them, and so this ability to run Windows and macOS in a VM was helpful for, that point of view. I'm a big fan of dark themes. I know some people find this a divisive topic. Okay. So Graham says, oh, my CPU doesn't have AVX and Quickemu is complaining when running macOS. Do you know if it's definitely a showstopper? So I'm putting a hard guardrail on that at the moment, Graham. It might be possible that if you've... maybe I'll add a flag, like ignore CPU capabilities or something. Because I think when the CPU flag is passed and the host can't support it, QEMU will emulate it, but I don't know for sure. So it's possible that it will work, but I haven't tested it. So go in, if you find that error message that you're seeing, go and find that string in the Quickemu code and just comment out those guardrails and see if it works, because the rest of the CPU flags will turn on AVX2 and all the rest of it. Hey Monica, welcome, glad you were able to stop by. So did this update finish? Update and upgrade, we're done, right? Yeah, we're done. So let's close that one, let's close this one again, close all. Is this going to open? That's not the thing, is it? Okay. That's a shame. So, WSL fetch again. So, King Egypt says, apparently as you get older, your eye muscles go. Yeah. Right. Well, there we go. And now we've got the correct branding because it's all up to date. So there's a fully updated. It's interesting how this is Windows 11, but yet you still keep seeing Windows 10 dotted around the place, and that's not just in WSL itself, but also in some of the Windows utilities. So yeah, there we go. Let's just move this off screen. Let's go and start up one of the macOS VMs very quickly. So let's do macOS Catalina, which is all installed and ready to go. So again, here's the OpenCore bootloader. I've tweaked this in a recent version. So Linux Paul says it's less than a week until the next Ubuntu Mate release. All the bugs squashed. Well, actually, Danny, who's here in chat, wrote a patch to, I think it was the notification daemon, to add snap support, and I'm going to be landing that patch probably this evening or something to make sure that that gets it into the new version. So this is Catalina now running just nicely, and I posted the information in the Ubuntu QA testers group last night about Quickemu, because obviously its origins were as a VM tool, testing and QA tool for Ubuntu. So yes, Monica, you've noticed that Danny is humble. So there we go, and there's this working, and I think if we do, oh gosh, I wonder if, yeah, that's a bit. Sometimes the resolution's a bit off when I'm doing it. I've got this weird loop back display thing going on, but if I just try and open this, is it there or there? There it is. Let's just knock this down. There we go. So what were you saying, Danny? If I press Alt, what do I have to do? Oh, thanks, Yannick. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do to expose those additional resolutions. I'm pretty sure this won't work in here. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I wanted to get to the terminal. Oh gosh, does this scale in the same way? How do you do font scaling on macOS? Does anyone know? I certainly don't. Well, anyway, somewhere here, I wonder if I've got it in my... There it is. So there's, if you can't read that, that says sudo mount underscore 9p and then the tag public Martin, which is the command to mount the volume, the thing. So if I now go to public Martin, this is me looking at the public directory on the host. So this is one thing that does work on macOS, is being able to see the host. And so that's a handy feature. So thanks, Yannick.
Thank you for the follow, Halifax.
Thanks for the follow, Halifax. Welcome to the stream. So Halifax says, I saw Popey on here the other day and now Wimpy. I've been on here for a while. Yeah, so's Popey. Popey's just getting back into streaming. I've been streaming here fairly regularly in recent weeks. But yeah, Twitch is where I do most of my streaming. Hey, Popey is still here. So I think that was what I wanted to show. It's basically, you know, macOS and Windows all nicely running in VMs. And I'll just kill that unceremoniously. So that was it. If there are any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. We've obviously looked at you know, nested VMs on Windows, which is probably the more it'll be interested to see what else we can do with that. Like, can I run, you know, VirtualBox inside this thing, for example, or anything like that? That would be kind of fun. But there it is. So have fun with that. The project's on GitHub. Oh, actually, there was a fix I needed to do, wasn't there? We worked out that there was a bug. So let's go and fix that very quickly, because I think that's going to be easy enough to fix. And we can do this. So it was in the provisioning of this XML. So let's, before we do that unattended Windows thing, down here we need to, we could actually could do this in a couple of places, just deciding where. I need to find the get Windows stuff. This is difficult because I'm obviously operating in a much smaller code editor than I would do normally. Right, let's look down here. This is the, there we go, get Windows, here we go. So this is how the actual Windows downloader works. There's a bunch of APIs which give JSON responses for, you know, the Windows downloads. So instead of spoofing being a web client and creating sessions and cookies, we just go directly to the source, hit the APIs, and then use JQ to pull out the tokens, that, not even tokens, the values that we need in order to ultimately string together a download URL. And that's how that works. So it doesn't have to do any cookie or token nonsense. So this is the bit that was busted here. And what we need to do is just add this. There. That is the bug that we encountered earlier fixed. Oh, except I haven't closed the... There we go. Fixed. Right. Can we do QuickGet Spectrum or Commodore 64? No, because that's emulation, not virtualization. I'm not sure where else to go. Well, I know what I want to work on. So the next
Thank you for the follow, Gabriel Burry.
Thanks very much, Gabriel. Thanks for the follow. So the next thing I want to start working on is actual discrete GPU pass-through. So that's a well-documented feature. There are a number of steps you have to do depending on whether your host system is Intel or AMD and what your GPU is.
Thank you for the follow, Maramagamer.
Thanks very much. Maramagamer, is that right? I go by her pronunciation. I hope these things are correct. And I want to try and get Quickemu to have the same smarts around doing discrete GPU pass-through that it does for, you know, how it handles macOS and Windows and all the rest of it, so that you can just say pass through a GPU, and I'm not sure what you point it at, you know, exactly, but something simple to designate the GPU that you want to pass through, and magic will happen. Like configuring IOMMU in init RAM FS and all of that sort of thing, which I think that bit's easy. I think what's more difficult is getting the PCI bus address, the correct PCI bus addresses, and passing those through. But that's the next thing I want to work on. But I think that is going to require people feedback, because there's a lot of different GPUs and a lot of different host hardware. So yeah, so Diddle Dan, Danny, you're using the pretend to be a browser. If you take a look at what I'm doing there, you'll probably find it's way easier to use that. So yeah, that's where this is going next. And I think the mentor suggested, you know, I'm going to make a UI for it. Maybe. I'm not sure. The other thing I may do is I might make the Spice rendering the default, because it seems to me, in fact, let me know in chat, what do you think about this? So it seems to me that actually the more valuable feature is having sharing between the guest and the host, you know, clipboard sharing, file sharing, easy USB pass-through as the default, rather than highly accelerated GPU graphics. So I think Spice by default is the right choice, but I'd be interested to know. Let me know in chat. Do you want Spice or GPU acceleration? Sharing is important. Okay. Yeah, so I'd love to know. Because I think Spice is probably the better default option. And if that's if we get consensus on that. Spice performance is decent for sure, because it uses QXL, so you do get some acceleration, not as much, but you get some. Yeah, so the GPU option will still be there. Instead of opting into Spice by doing display Spice, you could just do display SDL, and that will get you the GPU stuff. And in fact, you know, the other thing is you can have the best of both worlds. If I backport Vert Viewer 8, you can do both. You can have Spice and accelerated. So Popey, you're asking about a GUI front end as well. I was thinking about it last night, and in my mind, it would be, you know, a list of the supported operating systems. You select, press the get button, and it does the whole download, create a VM. And once you've got, you know, the VM. Thank you
for the follow thy _ nerd10.
Thanks for the follow thy nerd. Getting dangerously close to 600 follows now. That'll be good. So yeah, and then to do advanced configuration, it would literally open up the VM configuration in a text editor or something. Because I don't want to like get too carried away with big buttons. Exactly, Popey. Yeah, big buttons and icons. But I think it could be done. No, you don't need to select a location for your VMs. They are relative to your current directory, and that's by design, because when Popey and I started this script ages ago, we were actually running, I don't know, about 20 different Linux desktop VMs off of USB drives. So the whole point is that we didn't want it, running libvirtd or VirtualBox, or we started with VirtualBox, but it became cumbersome. We just wanted to have a load of VMs in a single directory, and that could either be in our home directory or on a USB drive, because we were carrying these things all around the world doing loads of distro testing. So that's the origins of this, and is still my requirement, because these days what I actually do is sync using SyncThing my Quickemu directory. So I have a directory. Let's just go back to the this window here. I have a directory, as you will have seen. This directory here, which has a load of VMs inside it, I have that sent around via SyncThing. So now I have the same VM in both office VMs available in both offices, which is useful to me. So you choose where you want your VM to be simply by being in a directory and saying make me a VM, and it will make it in the directory that you're currently in. And I was having a discussion with James Henstridge on Twitter about GNOME boxes, which has similar goals in terms of make it easy to download and stand up an optimized VM, but it sprays VMs and CD ISO images all around the .configuration .local .config, and that's it's a bit icky, and it's not what I want. I want everything all contained together, nice and simple. So Yannick, if you want to make a Flutter UI, by all means do. I was just going to use YAD and keep it nice and simple. But if you want to do it in Flutter, that would be fun. We could collab on that. I could learn a bit of Flutter and Dart in the process. It's been a bit over a year since I last did any Flutter and Dart programming, and all I did was make a gong. It was a lightning talk timer for a demo. In fact, he made it with the Flutter team at Google when they joined us at a sprint. Yeah, I think we could collab on that. That would be fun. And in fact, talking of collabs, if you're into optimized virtual machines, there's a good chance you're into optimized containers too. So later today, I'm doing a stream on the Slim DevOps channel with Big Pod, who's here in chat now. And we're going to be doing some work on Gitpod's code editor container. We're probably going to be making a snap of that to fill a call for assistance that they put out. So over on Slim DevOps, that's my day job. And we do optimized containers. So for fun and giggles, I've done optimized VMs, but then for work, we do optimized containers. So if you like all of that, head over to Slim DevOps on Twitch, because that's where we stream that stuff. Yeah, Slim DevOps, all one word. I'll put it in chat now. This is where you can find me when I'm not streaming on my own channel. I'm streaming for work over here, and next week we have a full schedule of live streams from KubeCon that we'll be doing over there, including, I can't announce who, but some big names from the container world are going to be joining us at that event and those streams next week. So if you like a bit of Docker and containers and Kubernetes, then head over there. Okay. Getting interested in Docker Slim. Yeah, that's good that your data science friends are getting there. We're also embedding all of that good stuff into the Slim AI platform as well to make that, you know, even easier to use. Right, okay, well, I'm not seeing any more questions around, what's it called? Quickemu. So there it is. There was a quick bit of show and tell. I hope those of you that were new to the project found that useful. No, Linux Paul, I would have forgotten. Thank you very much for being the best reminder here. Let's go and take a look at that. So let me just mute that tab and then go to the software and development. Let's have a look. Let's see who's doing. I'm just having a look to see who we could raid, because we've found some really interesting other channels. Oh, there's me. And the trick is finding one that's doing something interesting that is also in English, because I accidentally raided a Portuguese language channel, and then they were very friendly and speaking in English for a while, and I felt like I'd disrupted them a little bit. So there's nothing jumping out at me. There's lots of game dev stuff, so maybe let's go here. Let's go to this one. So this looks interesting because it's enemy AI, and we've got interesting people here that like all of that stuff. So let's do this thing. Let's do start a raid, and here we go then. So that process is in yeah, that's where we're going, Broken Rabbit. That's exactly where we're going. Well spotted. So we're doing this thing now. Thank you all very much for coming, everyone. Let's head over to Jackie Codes. Thanks, and I'll see you soon. I'll be streaming here over the weekend as per usual, and next week most mornings. Bye for now, everyone.